welcome to Sort of the Story.
This is Sort of the Story.
Yeah.
I'm Max.
I'm Janey, and this is the podcast where we tell each other stories.
And also, you are here.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
So we got a couple of tales for you today.
This isn't for children. If you're new here, this is not a podcast where we tell children stories. This is a podcast where us two adults tell each other stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's full of cursing and sometimes inappropriate jokes and sometimes random ramblings with big emotions. So listen at your own discretion.
Also, I know some people listen to this to, fall asleep. I'm just going to warn you guys now, my first story made me really angry. It'll probably make you angry also. Also, I'm going to be angry on this recording about this story, so this is not a chill one.
Max has been first of all, you just got your story.
Yes.
She finished it not too long ago and has been, biting her tongue because she wants to yell at me about it.
I'm angry.
All right. So, you know what? Honestly, I'm excited. You want to just get into it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Max, tell me a tale.
Alrighty. So, I feel like I have to say, first of all, that we were doing our sound test and I was having, a delicious herbal tea that's supposed to be, soothing. And I was being too quiet. And so I went back. I put my tea in the kitchen for later and I got more ghost pepper hot cocoa just to sort of amp myself up. And then I remembered that I'm doing this story that makes me really angry. So I might be really loud and I'm very sorry.
Excited. I'm excited about it.
This story comes to us from someone that we already know.
Oh man, is it my mom?
No.
She'll make you mad.
No, this is from Andrew Lang, who you may remember from our episode on the Snake Prince.
Yes.
He is the author of The Snake Prince. He is also the person who has the books of fairy tales that are named after colors.
Oh, yeah. This is a, throwback to episode 1.
Oh, is it?
That's your very first story you ever told.
Wow.
Cute.
All right. So this is from his Red Fairy book, which was published in 1890. Our story today is set in Lake Quinoa.
Lake Quinoa.
Lake Quinoa, which is in northern France, the area formerly known as Flanders.
Okay.
Specifically between Lake Quinoa and Quignol, which is a town just outside of Lake Quinoa.
Classic France.
Yeah, so, yes. This also has a lot of French names in it, so I'm going to do my best. I took a year of French and it did not stick.
My mom wouldn't let me take French. My parents are deeply conservative. We lived in Missouri, and when I said, I want to take French because I was interested in it, she said, not on my watch, Janey, and, forced me to not take French and to take Spanish instead because she thought the French were un-American. And I'm like, yeah.
What?
They're French.
That's the point.
I was not allowed to take French. We were also, I remember vividly everybody changing French fries to freedom fries and stuff like that because France was like, maybe everyone shouldn't just invade Iraq. Anyway, so I don't know anything about French.
Well,
that's it. That's the whole
prepare
story.
to not learn anything more. All right, so Lake Quinoa. The Count of Lake Quinoa was once a man named Burchard the Wolf. He was known far and wide as just a real dick.
Well, then it fits.
Yeah. He was, he treated his servants, incredibly poorly. He would just, beat them for no reason, and he would go out and just harass peasants for no reason at all. So everyone just, fully hated him. He was also super gross. He was, a gross dude, which is where the wolf comes from, if you picture, the nasty wolf with heart eyes from old cartoons.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I'm picturing him.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
A sexual wolf.
Yeah.
Deeply sexual.
Yeah, in a gross way. So this is a story about a gross dude, just so you guys know. He was married to the Countess, whose name is not mentioned. Which it should have been the first red flag for me in this story.
The wolf's wife, that still makes her part of him. She needs, a cool lady name, the lady wolf. What's a lady wolf called? Just another wolf?
Yeah.
That's a bullshit.
She-wolf? But she was super nice, is the thing.
Okay, the deer... Anyway, go ahead. Sorry. I don't know why I'm interrupting you already.
It's okay. So he was known as the Wolf because he was just the absolute worst. And then he was married to, obviously, the Countess.
Sure.
And whenever he would go out and, fuck someone's life up, the Countess would quietly go behind him and, fix everything and like apologize and like set them up and everything so that they would be like fine after he ruined their lives.
God damn it, lady.
Yeah. So
You deserve better.
yes. So one day the Count is out on a hunting trip, and as he has gone out, he's sent his servants back home with the spoils of his hunt. He's walking back home to the castle, and he comes across this tiny cottage on the outside of Lochignol, and he sees a beautiful woman outside of the cottage, and she is spinning hemp on a spinning wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And so he decides to stop.
Oh, God.
Because this is his problem that she's being pretty in public.
How dare.
So he decides to stop, and he comes up to her, and he says, "Good lady, what is your name?" And she says, "My name is Renelde." And he says, "Wow, this job looks like it sucks. Like, you must be so lonely and, like, bored from, like, being out here, like, minding your business. Sucks, right?" And she was like, "No, I'm actually fine. Like,
it's
this
like,
is kind of
you
my
would be
life, and
so
it's
much
fine."
prettier if you smiled. I just noticed you over here frowning.
That is him.
Gross.
So she's like, "No, actually, this is what I've been doing for my entire life, and I'm kind of fine with it. I mean, it's my job, so it's fine." And he's like, "Well, you know, whether that's true or not, you know, you would have more fun. You should come to the castle sometime, and I will get you a job as the lady's maid to the Countess." And also the implication in this is clear, where he's like, "Come to the castle," wink, nudge.
Ew.
And like, "I'll get you a job." And
Ew.
she's like, "Ooh, thank you so much. But actually, my grandmother's very, very sick. She lives in this cottage, and I have to stay around and take care of her, so I can't really take a different job."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Understood. However, I will be expecting you this evening, so see you then." And she's like, "Okay." And then he goes off. She's also, she is betrothed.
Of course she is.
To a woodcutter named Guibert, who is a very nice man. And again, like, she has her grandmother that she has to take care of, so she has absolutely no intention of she has absolutely no intention of showing up at the castle. So she just kind of spends the rest of her day, and she's fine. A couple of days later, the Count comes back, and he says, "Hey, what happened? I thought you were gonna come to my house and like we were gonna like hang out or whatever."
Ew, get the hint. I hate this man already. This is making me already really upset.
I haven't even gotten to the part that makes you angry.
I know, and I know you're getting somewhere terrible. Go ahead.
So she was like, "Yeah, like I said, I have to look after my grandmother, so I can't really have a job being the Countess's lady's maid or anything like that. Like, I already have a job. So that's why I didn't show up, which is kind of what I told you before. So, sorry." And he's like, "Okay, I get it. You're playing hard to get, and I respect that.
Nope.
So here's the thing. Come to the castle tomorrow, and I will make you the Countess's lady-in-waiting," right? Which is a higher position that is still a maid. And he's like, "So, you know, there are, you know, I understand you're, like, holding out for a better offer. So here's my better offer, lady-in-waiting." And she's like, "Cool. Still have a job, still am, like, a spinner, and also I have to take care of my grandmother, so I'm totally happy where I am, but thank you so much for the offer. And I will not be coming tomorrow, but thank you so much." And he was like, "Cool, so I'll see you then," and, like, winks.
No!
And then, like, walks away. And so then she doesn't show up, obviously, because she's still like, "No, no." As I have said, absolutely not. So a couple days pass by after that, and he comes by again, and he says, "Look, I understand, you know, you are, you know, you're looking for something, a little bit of a better offer, okay? And I totally understand that, and I respect that, and I respect that you respect yourself enough to wait for a better offer. So here's what I'm going to do, right? I want you to come to the castle tonight. And if you come to the castle tonight, I will send the Countess away, and I will marry you."
Fucking
and
shitbag.
She's like, "Hey, I don't know if you remember from before, but actually I already have a job. And also, I don't want to leave my grandmother still."
Does he know that she's betrothed? Is she telling him that? This is probably smart on her part.
No, yeah.
So murder that man.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So he's like, "Okay, but like, you should come to my house." And she's like, "No, I'm not going to. I'm just not going to. I've told you I'm trying to be nice because you are the lord of these lands, but I am not coming to your house.
Good.
And he's like, oh, come on, but like I could totally divorce the countess and marry you, and wouldn't that be great? Because then you would be the countess. And here's something he doesn't know. The countess, being the incredibly kind and generous person that she is, a few years before, Renelde's mother fell very, very ill, terminal illness. And so Renelde and her family were struggling to make ends meet while her mother was ill, and especially trying to keep up care for her. And so the countess went out of her way to like come and visit and give them money and like make sure that they had food from the castle kitchen so that they didn't have to worry about cooking and everything. Aww. Just a really nice lady.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know this, but Renelde is also like, I'm not gonna ruin the countess's life. So no.
Yes.
And he's like, all right, well, I'll see you later. And again, she doesn't show up. So a couple weeks go by and she thinks that maybe, possibly, he has finally gotten the hint.
Oh, you stupid
spoilers.
Just kidding.
But at this point, he's starting to realize that maybe his offer is not super appealing to her. And so he's kind of like pissed because she's not budging. So a couple weeks later, he comes by, he's on his way back from a hunting trip. And also the story makes a point to mention that he has his hunting rifle, his duck gun over his shoulder, and he has his game bag full of like bloody animal pieces over his shoulder, his other shoulder. And he comes by her house and he sees that she's spinning a different kind of fiber than she was before. And so he says, oh, what are you, sorry, no, that's the wrong tone. He goes, what are you like spinning or whatever? And she says, I'm spinning flax. I'm spinning flax for my wedding shift.
Oh.
And he says, oh, you're gonna get married? And she's like, yes, I am. Unfortunately, any peasant that gets married under this count's reign has to get his permission, which is usually just like, you send in a form and he signs it and it comes back. But technically he could say no. So she realizes the mistake that she's made and she goes, yes, I am getting married, my lord, by your leave, of course. And he sort of immediately is like, cool.
No.
So he says, absolutely, of course you can get married on one condition. You see that cemetery over there behind the church? I want you to go over there and you see all the nettles that are growing over the tombs? I want you to gather up a bunch of those nettles, right? And then I want you to spin them into a cloth. And from that cloth, I want you to make 2 shifts, which is like a dress.
Yeah.
And he says, I want you to make one, or like a robe, I guess, more accurately. He's like, I want you to make one of these nettle cloths for your bridal gown. And I want you to make another one for my shroud, because you will not get married until unless I am dead and laid in the ground.
Oh, fuck him.
Yeah, just a huge asshole. And then he laughs in her face and leaves. And she's like, what the fuck? She has never heard of, you can't spin nettles, really. I don't know if you like stinging nettles.
Yeah.
The process of like picking nettles, they have like stingers on them that, you can be stung with, so it's really difficult and unpleasant to pick nettles. That said,
we'll put a picture of them up on our Instagram.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
They do have a lot of really cool uses. Nettles can be used in medicine and things like that. There's also recipes for like nettle cakes, which are supposed to be super delicious. But again, the process of gathering nettle is incredibly difficult and unpleasant. So
pulling them as weeds is also the thing that sucks the most. Like that's the thing that like sticks into your hand and makes you all numb and like.
Yes.
It's not fun.
Yeah, and they have massive root systems, so it is almost impossible to pull up a nettle if it's a weed and it's in the wrong place. Because that's actually one of the reasons why, this might be wrong, I might have made this up. Thistles, which are the flower of Scotland, I think they're a kind of nettle, and that's one of the reasons is because they have those deep, deep roots, which is like what the Scottish are about.
Cute.
I will have to look that up, and if I am wrong, I apologize. Please don't repeat that without Googling it.
You know what, guys? Do your own research. We're over here just trying our best.
I do my best. So the count goes away, and she continues spinning her wedding gown. Later that night, her husband-to-be, Guibert, comes by her house to come see her after he gets off work at the woodcuttery or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
And she tells him what happened. She basically says, like, the count came by here and told me that we can't get married. And he laid out this, like, impossible task as, like, oh, fuck you. So I don't know what we're going to do. Especially because the count brags to everyone all the time that he's as healthy as a horse. He says that he's like made of iron and he's going to live to 100. So it's not like he's going to die anytime soon.
Guibere's like, challenge accepted.
Okay, interesting you say that. Guibert says, would you like me to watch for the wolf and split his skull with a blow from my axe?
Oh, you hot. Yes.
I love Guibert.
Hey, you sexy woodcutter. Hell yeah, I want you to do that.
And Renelde says, no, there must be no blood on my bridal bouquet, which is also kind of a badass thing to say.
That's a really cute saying. You know what? That should be some merch.
Yeah.
Wedding merch. There will be no blood on my bridal bouquet.
Yeah. And she also reminds him that, like, you know, the Countess, she doesn't want to kill the Countess's husband because, again, the Countess helped her family a whole lot.
Oh, yeah.
And meanwhile, from the corner of her small cottage, in the cottage lives her and her grandmother, who she's taking care of, and her great-grandmother, who she's not taking care of because she's as healthy as a horse.
Oh, hell yeah. What?
She's this teeny tiny old lady who sits in the corner all day and doesn't really say anything. She just kind of, like, hangs out, right? So she pipes up for the first time in, like, years, basically. And she
imagine the grandma from Mulan.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
She pipes up and she has heard Renelde telling this story to Guibert, and she says, well, you know, the Count set down some very clear terms. He said that you had to spin these 2 shifts. Yeah. And that you could be married after he was dead. So I've never heard of someone spinning a shift out of nettles, but there's no reason you can't try. And what she says is, what God commands, man can do. So basically, she's like, if this is what has to happen for you to be married in the eyes of God, then you can do it. Yeah. God is on your side. So Renelde goes and plucks all the nettles that she can get from the graveyard. And she she crushes them in water to get rid of some of the like the chemical sting and everything like that. And then she like mashes them and she spins them out into thread. And she finds that actually this makes a very like soft, supple, strong thread that is just this beautiful, brilliant white in color, like whiter than any like...
She was like, good idea, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So she spins it out and then she weaves it into cloth and she cuts the cloth and sews it into her wedding shift. As she is putting the last stitch in her wedding shift, the Count rides by on his horse again, and he says, hey, how those 2 shifts come in? Because he's an asshole. Yeah. And she goes, oh, actually, I was just wrapping up this one. And he looks at it, and his face goes white. And he's like, oh, cool. And it's like this, again, this like beautiful glowing white, like soft material that is just incredibly beautiful. And he's like,
she's gonna have the most beautiful wedding.
Yeah. And he's like, well, in that case, you better get started on the second one. Clock's ticking.
Is it? He didn't give her a timeline.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just being an asshole.
All right.
So he returns to his castle, and as he's riding back home, and as she's starting to spin the second shift, he suddenly feels a chill go through his body as though someone has walked over his grave. Yes. And he gets back to the castle, and he walks in, and he's like, is it cold in here? Like, are you guys cold? And everyone's like, no, it's so hot. Like, the castle is the most well-heated place in all of France.
Listen, now I'm kind of on his side. This is how I live. This is how I live my life.
But he's like, is it cold? And everyone's like, no. And he's like, maybe I should just go get something to eat. And so he goes to dinner and he like can't keep his food down. He takes a bite and he like gags and he just feels nauseous and sick to his stomach. And he stands up and he feels like fever sweats start to come down his brow. And he goes to bed early, just like feverish and sickly. And he wakes up in the morning and he can't even move because he's so like exhausted and sore and sick. Yeah. So what he begins to think, and he thinks to himself that if his, he wonders like what the cure could possibly be for this illness that has suddenly beset him. And it occurs to him that Renelde has begun to sew his shroud. And to his mind, he thinks to himself that once the shroud is prepared for his burial, his body must soon surely follow. So he is dying, basically, because he made this bet with her. Good. And of the illness, he says to himself, no doubt Renelde's spinning wheel knows all about this illness. So he's, like, starting to die. Thank God. He sends a messenger to Renelde to tell her to stop spinning. Because he's like, will die, apparently. He doesn't tell her this, but he's like, okay, I have to get her to stop spinning or else I'm going to die when she's done with this.
Yeah.
So he sends a messenger. The messenger goes to her house and says, the Count requests that you stop spinning. Mm-hmm. And she says, oh, of course, anything for the Count. And she stops spinning.
No.
That night, Guy Berger stops by on his way home from work, and he says, like, how's the progress coming? And she's like, well, I finished the wedding shift, but I actually got a message from the Count saying that I had to stop sewing his shroud. Mm-hmm. I guess he kind of gave up. And he was like, oh, cool. So did he say that it was okay for us to get married? And she's like, no, he just asked me to stop. And he's like, well, he has to give us consent to get married. And honestly, he made very clear the conditions upon which he would give that consent. So I think you should keep spinning.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right. Yeah, you're right. So she keeps spinning.
Yeah.
Right? And the hours in between when the messenger came to see her and when she began spinning again, the king started to feel better and like the flesh started to come back into his cheeks and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And the second that she starts spinning again, he feels ill all over again.
Yes.
And he's like, okay, clearly this is her fault and I have to stop her through any means necessary. So he sends some soldiers to her house. And the soldiers grab her and they bind her hands and feet. Oh, and they throw her into the river.
Oh my god. What?
Yes. So they throw her into the river and they watch to make sure that she sinks to the bottom. And then they leave. They go back to report back to the king. And he's feeling better again because she stopped her spinning. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, as soon as the soldiers pass out of sight, the binds on her hands and feet loosen themselves.
Oh, thank God.
So she's able to swim back up to the surface and she gets back to the shore, goes back to her house, and now kind of understands the stakes and keeps spinning. 2 hours later, the king sends 2 more soldiers to come, and they come to her and they grab her and they tie a heavy stone around her neck, and then they throw her in the river again.
Guys,
and they
just
watch,
shoot her.
they watch to make sure that she sinks to the bottom, and then they leave. And as soon as they're gone, the rope loosens itself from around her neck and she swims back to shore and goes back to her cottage and keeps spinning.
Like, probably faster than ever. Like, gotta finish this.
Yeah. And so the king himself, his soldiers come back and report back that, they've handled the situation, and immediately
the king and the lord.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
The count, not the king.
The count, okay.
They come and tell him that she's taken care of,
mm-hmm.
and the count immediately starts to feel sick again,
mm-hmm.
and he's like, she's not taken care of. So he decides to go take care of it himself, but he can't walk because he's so sick. So
I love this story.
Yeah, so he has to go in a litter, carried on the shoulders of people, to her house. And he shows up at her house and he sees that she's outside of her cottage spinning again. And so he takes his hunting rifle.
Oh no.
And he shoots her. And the bullet tings off of her and she is unharmed and it just rebounds. And she is like, oh, hey, what's up?
I didn't see you there.
I was just spinning this for you. You're welcome. And he is...
Oh, she's such a menace. I love her.
Yeah. He is so furious that he jumps out of the litter and in a rage picks up her spinning wheel and smashes it on the ground.
Wait, so he can't fucking walk, but he can be a dick?
And then he faints.
And then she stabs him?
No, he faints. And his manservant? His manservants.
It's like a Lilith's fair
situation? Yeah. They pick him up and carry him back to the castle. And meanwhile, Renelde is like obviously very frustrated that her wheel is broken, but fortunately they have a bunch of people in town who can fix it. So she goes into town and has her spinning wheel repaired by the next day, at which point she starts spinning again. And the king, once again, was starting to feel better, starts to feel worse again. The Countess is watching all of this, right? And she's seeing these strange symptoms in her husband. And so she finally decides to figure out what's going on. She goes to him and he tells her the whole story.
Mm-hmm. But from his point of view, of like, this girl was like really into me.
Yeah. And so the Countess begs him. She's like, look, you're the only person who can cure yourself of this illness. Just give the girl your blessing. Yeah. Like, you're not going to get better until this stops. And the only way to stop it is to give her your blessing. And he's like, no! And she's like, fine. So she goes to Renelde's house. Mm-hmm. At this point, the Countess becomes the villain.
No!
She goes to Renelde's house and she begs her to stop spinning. And Renelde cannot say no to her because this is the Countess who helped her mother. And so she stops spinning. So, again,
okay, but
the Count starts to feel better.
Her whole life is fucking over. Like, at this time period, I'm so mad. At this time period, she needs to have that fucking marriage.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Yep. Oh, here we go. It only gets worse from here.
No!
So
I am pissed.
She stops spinning. This is also, I'm going to tell everyone my version of the end of the story.
Okay.
This is where my version begins. But first I'm going to tell the actual version of the story, which is this. The Countess goes to Renelde, begs her to stop, and she stops spinning. Because again, this is the Countess who helped her so much. That night, Guibert is on his way home from work, and he stops by to see Renelde, and he sees that she has not made progress all day.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, is everything okay? Like, does the new wheel work and everything? And she's like, yes. The Countess came and asked me to stop spinning. And he's like, okay, so the Count gave us his consent?
No.
And she says, no, but I can't say no to her because, you know, she helped our family so much and everything. And he's like, okay, well, I don't know what you think is going to happen because he's not going to give his consent. And she's like, well, you know, maybe once he feels better, his heart will be softened and he will be moved to be nice.
No,
and
you fucking
just
idiot.
give the
That's
consent.
not what's going to happen.
Yeah. And Guibert is like, well, that's not going to happen, but we can wait a little while if it'll make you feel better. So they wait a month, and then they wait 2 months, and then they wait 3 months, and then 6 months. They wait a year and have no word whatsoever from the Count. In this time, Guibert is immensely frustrated for obvious reasons, that this marriage cannot continue. And so because there's no progress and they're kind of stuck in this spot, he stops coming to visit.
No!
Because there's no news, you know, and there's nothing that they can do. So he stops coming to visit as often, and then he stopped coming to visit altogether. After a year, he has not been by for a while. And Renelde hears from a friend that he has left the country and didn't even say goodbye.
Oh, I thought that he had found another woman in the village. I don't know why leaving the country sounds better for me. Like, he's just traveling?
Yeah, she hears from a friend that he has left the country and did not even stop to say goodbye.
Good God.
And so the day that she finds this out, she puts her spinning wheel away in a corner. She cries for 3 days and 3 nights, and she continues to wait. She continues to wait on the Count's consent. And another year passes after this. At the end of that second year, the Count falls ill. And the first thing is that he's like, oh, Renelde is spinning again. So the Countess goes to see Renelde, and she sees that the spinning wheel is dusty and in the corner, and she realizes that this is not Renelde's fault.
Yeah.
The Count is very, very ill. His illness progresses very quickly, and at a certain point, the doctors are basically like, he has hours, right? And then the next day, there's no progress, and he seems like he has like hours left to live, like minutes maybe. And he's in pain and agony.
Good.
And then another day passes.
Good.
And weeks pass with him just in misery on death's doorstep. And the doctors can't figure it out. And at this point, he's just begging to die.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And he figures out that he had promised his death to Renelde, basically. Oh. And so he can't die until she finishes sewing his shroud. So he sends the Countess to her, and Renelde comes to the castle with her spinning wheel, and she spins more thistle into his shroud.
No.
And he immediately feels better. Like, all the pain leaves his body, and he starts to feel, like, comfortable for the first time in months. And he begs for her forgiveness, and she forgives him, which is stupid. And bullshit. So she finishes weaving the cloth, and then she cuts it and sews it, and as she puts the last stitch in, he dies. Mm-hmm. Within the hour, Guibert returns from far away, because he never stopped loving her, and, you know, now they can finally get married. And then the final paragraph of the story, I'm going to read verbatim, because I've never been so furious.
I feel like I'm 10 years older now. Like, Max's whole face is just, like, completely, just over it.
Yes.
This is a hard story. Go ahead.
So the final paragraph is, he, Guibert, had lost 2 years of happiness, but comforted himself with thinking that his wife was a clever spinner, and, what was much more rare, a brave and good woman.
Okay, what's your ending?
My ending is that the Countess goes to Renelde and is like, hey, I heard my husband was harassing you. You have my permission to murder him. And then she murders him.
She's like, here's a bunch of gold.
And then the Countess is like, if you want to come bring your family to live in the castle with me. We can take care of your grandmother together, and you can be my lady in waiting if you want to be. And I give you my consent to marry your fiance and be happy forever. And that's the ending. As far as I am concerned.
I do want the Countess to go there and be like, oh, what are you doing here? And like really look at it and be like, cool, here's a bunch of gold. Sorry he's been harassing you. I'm looking forward to signing your marriage certificate. And then leaving.
Yeah.
It'd be fucking great. That's a stupid ending. That's a stupid 1800 French ending.
So, here's the thing that made me most mad of all.
Okay.
Right? We've mentioned Andrew Lang before.
Yeah.
And The Snake Prince is a great story that I had a great time with.
Tell the name of the book again real quick before you
go. So this collection of stories is Fairy Tales and Folklore, a family heirloom of stories to inspire and entertain, by Professor William Gray with Joanna Galar and Rose Williamson. It's a beautiful pillow-bound edition of a bunch of different fairy tales from all around the world, along with analyses of each of them individually. It's great. I love this collection. The other Andrew Lang story, The Snake Prince, that we told was from the same book. Andrew Lang did the many-colored fairy tale stories, which was a collection of fairy tale books that were each a color. So there's like the lilac fairy tale book, the olive fairy tale book, the crimson fairy tale book. Mm-hmm. This is from the red fairy tale book. I was like, who the fuck could write this story?
Yeah.
What kind of asshole thinks that this is a happy ending?
Yeah.
And then I did some research on Andrew Lang.
Oh, no!
Andrew Lang is a noted historian, folklorist, and philosopher from the 1800s. Again, this book was published in 1890. Lang was married twice. I don't know the circumstances under which his first marriage ended. His second marriage, he was married to a woman whose father was also a folklorist, one of the people who Lang greatly respected in his studies. His wife, who's actually, I'm going to pull up her name real quick because I forgot to write it down because I was so angry. His wife's name is Leonora Blanche Lang, maiden name Leonora Blanche Elaine. He, in one of his books, in the Lilac Fairy book,
okay,
as an addendum to the acknowledgments at the beginning of the book, mm-hmm. he mentions offhandedly that his wife transcribed and translated his book. Also, all of his other books.
What?
She wrote all of his books. He also, like, a bunch of the stories, he's like, anyways, my wife came up with this, so I decided to put it in my book. That she also transcribed and translated. She did all of the work.
Whoa.
All of the work. She did all of the work.
This is a huge fucking book.
This isn't just him.
Okay, I was like,
but it is a collection. The collection
so much work.
is way bigger than this. Jesus. It is a 12-book, 250-page each collection of fairy tales, and she did all the work.
And she got one fucking...
She got one mention as an afterthought in one of the book's acknowledgments.
God, Andrew Lang, what a fucking asshole.
The fact that the final paragraph is like, and the husband lived happily ever after, makes so much sense.
It is. That, like, what the fuck?
I'm livid.
That is about the husband getting what he wants.
Exactly. She spends 2 years doing nothing because she can't do anything with her life except for spin, and she can't do that. Like, she's just stuck in this cottage taking care of her ailing grandmother. Her fiancé has left, which also I don't forgive him for.
No, that's an unacceptable way to do anything.
Yeah, he left and then he came back and he was like, and now we can get married. I would not want him back. And it's like, oh, and she's such a good spinner and a brave woman. But like, there's nothing... Oh, God, I'm so mad. I'm so angry about this story. I'm so angry.
Can I tell you a weird story?
Yes.
Me of? When I lived in New York when I was 18 to 20, and I lived next door to this guy who was super cute, but he moved in next door to me in the dorms, and I had my own room, he had his own room, and we ended up, like, getting along really well, and then we ended up deciding to, like, date a little bit, right? And so we would, like, make out and talk, but, like, that's all we did. It was just, like, a really sweet little relationship. He had horrible diagnosed obsessive-compulsive disorder, mm-hmm. Which I didn't know that he was diagnosed OCD. But obviously, living in New York, he was from the Midwest. This was when I was still Catholic, and, like, we would go to church together. He clearly, like, it was a very sanitized relationship. And he was stressing out because living in New York is stressful for like anyone. It's stressful. And he every like week he was getting more and more just like clearly neurotic and like anxious. And then he started like washing his clothes all the time. Like he was just constantly like rewashing his clothes, doing all that stuff. And then at one point he replaced, I noticed, I was like, "Whoa, is that a new shirt?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "Are those new pants?" "Wait, hold on, your whole outfit is new." I was like, "Did you go shopping?" And he's like, "Yep." And it turns out he had thrown away all of his clothes and rebought a bunch of stuff because he couldn't put anything on that he had already used. And then he did the same with his bedding. So like he was going through it, right?
Yeah.
And 18-year-old Janie did not understand that this was a real thing because I was like, yeah. And so my bratty little self was like, "No, you look great, bud." Just going on. And so one day he was washing his sheets, his new sheets that he had gotten.
Oh, no.
And so his bed, which was a dorm bed, which was just basically a plastic block, you know?
Yeah.
Like how they're not real mattresses, they're just plastic. It was there on his like dorm bed and it was uncovered. And so I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And I went over to his room and I was like, so I was thinking and babbling and like I sat down on the bed and he goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, no, don't sit on that. Don't sit on that. You don't have to sit on that." And I was like, "No, it's fine." And so I continue sitting and he's like, "No, really, please don't sit on that." He's like, "It's just uncovered. It's really unsanitary." And I was like, "Oh, you don't like it when I sit on this?" And he's like, "Nope." And I thought we were playing a fun game. So I was like, "You don't like it when I lay on it?" And he's like, "I really don't like it when you lay on it." And I was like, "You don't like it when I roll around on it?" And he was like, "Oh my God." And then I left, and that was the last time I ever talked to him. We had been dating for, like, at least 6 months.
Oh, my God.
Then we went on, like, Thanksgiving break, and we didn't talk after that, and then he never came back. And I heard from his friend who lived across the hall from me, like, 2 weeks later. I was like, "Hey, have you heard from him? Because I'm not hearing anything." And he hasn't come back, and his friend was like, "Yeah, he's not coming back. He moved back home." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" And he was like, "He dropped out of school and he isn't coming back. And now they're clearing out his room." Like, he left everything and fucking skedaddled. And I think I'm the one that pushed him over the edge. But still, I also didn't get any word from him at all, which I guess is fair now that I know the thing. But yeah, I also had somebody move far away and never tell me.
Yeah.
And I have no hard feelings because I fully acknowledge now I'm the problem.
But, like, what if, like, you took a shower and then after, like, months of not seeing him, he showed back up and he was like, "You're clean. Now we can be together."
I only took one shower in those months. That's true.
I just mean that, like,
yeah.
what?
I know. Well, also, clearly, he needed to be out anyway. Like,
Yeah.
he was dropping, like, $500 a week just replacing all his stuff. Like,
Jesus.
He couldn't stay in New York.
And living in New York, which
Exactly.
is just a very expensive place to live. Regardless.
Exactly. So, like, he couldn't stay in New York. But also, I'll always know that his last experience in New York was me rolling around
Just
on
this
his
nasty
unmade
little
bed.
goblin ruining his sanctum.
That's what that story reminded me of when the husband left.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Yeah.
The Countess is the villain. How
Yeah.
dare.
I'm genuinely mad at the Countess. Like, it's one thing to do nice things for people, and I understand that she did a bunch of nice things for a bunch of people, but that doesn't mean that you then get to go back and be like, "Oh, I helped you, so, like, now you have to do this."
Well,
like,
and for nothing, the Countess could have given them a bunch of money. She could have been there and been like, "I'm really sorry, this isn't going to work, but, you know, here's a bunch of funds to take care of your grandmother, and here's this thing." Like, there could have been something. This is your funds to move away. You know,
Yeah.
like, anything. I will talk to my husband and I will get him to sign that marriage certificate. But instead, that's a man writing a woman, you know,
Yeah.
of like, my priorities with my husband.
Yeah, my terrible husband, who, as a necessary part of her understanding what was going on, he had to have told her that he was trying to throw her out and marry this girl.
Well, she also just had to have known that he was trying to cheat on her.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's frustrating.
I hate them both.
Yeah. Well, great story.
Thanks. I'm angry.
You want to take a quick break?
I do. I'm gonna go get that calming tea again.
Yeah, that spicy hot chocolate isn't cutting it.
No.
Okay, Max.
Okay, Janie.
Max, okay.
Janie, okay.
Okay, so I have a new book that I am so fucking excited about. And it's beautiful, and it matches your book. Max and I literally, both of our books are black with gold foil decorations and stuff like all over it. They're very aesthetically pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
But this book is called Epic Tales, African Myths and Legends. African Myths and Tales, sorry. It's an anthology of classic African folklore. And I was really excited to get it. It's just a bunch of stories collected into one. That's what an anthology is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how else to tell you that.
Yep.
And it's just a really beautiful book, and it's filled with just really beautiful stories. So I picked one at random, as I always do, and then did a bunch of research on it, and I'm excited to tell you about it.
Hell yeah.
Before I even begin on that, there is a publisher's note on the copyright page that I thought was kind of fun, because remember when I did the Filipino tales and like the Philippine folklore from like indigenous Filipinos, and I was like, this has a lot of outdated language, and it's really hard to kind of like, sometimes it's hard to gloss over the fact that somebody wrote it in the 40s, you know, like an anthropologist in the 40s went in and is using terms like savage and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, gloss over that because that's clearly outdated language. So they actually have a publisher's note in this book. It says, due to the historical nature of the classic text, we are aware that there may be some language used which has the potential to cause offense to the modern reader. However, wanting overall to preserve the integrity of the text rather than imposing contemporary sensibilities, we have left it unaltered. Which I think is just a really nice, like, publisher's note. Like, hey, these are really old tales, just so you know we're aware, and you're right, but we don't want to change the text because it's not our place. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of fun. And then one other quick note is a definition of the word juju. Because it is used in this tale. Juju is a folk magic in West Africa, which is where the story is from. It's from Nigeria. And within juju, a variety of concepts exist. Basically, for the most part, it's charms and spells, and they can be used to inflict either bad or good juju. And people who practice that are traditionally called, like, juju men. Or women, I assume. But this has talked about juju men.
Cool.
Okay, so this story is called The Disobedient Daughter Who Married a Skull. Do you know this story?
I do.
What?
Yeah, it was in one of my collections, and I read it, and I ended up going with a different story that week, but it's been a long time since I read it, so I don't know the story, but I have, like, 3 different because I have a couple of collections on, like, Southern Black folk tales and, like, Louisiana folk tales and stuff like that it comes up in, because it's one of those, like, big deal stories. So I'm really glad that you're telling it. I'm so excited.
I'm excited. This one is from southern Nigeria in West Africa. And basically, there once was a man. His name was Effiong Edem, and he was a native of Kabam town. And he had a beautiful daughter whose name was Affiong.
Oh.
His name was Effiong. She was Affiong.
That's cute.
It is cute. I really like that. She was super beautiful. Like, she was the most beautiful girl anybody had ever seen. And she was really sought after by men in the village. Like, far and wide, people were like, every man who saw her was like, hey, I want to marry her. And they were constantly going up and offering to marry her from a very early age. And her parents were like, yep, sure. And so they were constantly like, hey, Affiong, you should marry this man. He's one of your father's work friends. And she was like, no, not at all. I'm not doing that. And they were like, what the hell? And so they were constantly telling her, like, please marry someone. And she's like, I don't want to marry them. And so that got her a reputation for being really disobedient, like, and vain. They were like, she's so vain. She wants somebody
probably thinks this song is about
She
her.
probably thinks the song is about her. It's not about you, Affiong. It's about Effiong. So she wanted a man who was handsome, who was her age, who was wealthy enough to take care of her, and who would make a good dad. And they were like, you disobedient, vain bitch. And I'm like, honestly, girl, same. That all sounds great.
So her crime is having standards.
Yeah, at all. And her parents were really upset by this, and it caused them a lot of grief. And people were like, we feel so sorry for you that you had this disobedient daughter who doesn't want to marry old, ugly men she doesn't know.
How dare.
How dare. So one day, a skull in the spirit land heard of her beauty, and he was like, I'm gonna shoot my shot. So he goes to a bunch of friends in the spirit land, and he's like, can I borrow something from you? And so from one of his friends, he gets a face, like a handsome face, right? And he literally just pulls it on over his skull and fits it there, and he's like, I've got a handsome head now. Then he goes to another friend, and he's like, you got great abs, can I have your torso? And the guy was like, sure, bring it back. And he like pops his torso on, and then he gets, like, strong, muscly arms from another person, and then he goes to somebody, he gets, like, really fit legs, and he's got, like, quad for days.
Yeah, never skip leg day.
Never skip leg day. And so he
Even
comes
in the spirit world.
Now he's a full person, and he goes down, yeah.
Do the legs include feet?
Oh, no! He missed it.
Feet sold separately.
Each individual toe is not included. So now he makes his way down to Cobham Market, and he kind of, like, lets himself be seen, and people are all like, who's that handsome stranger whose body parts all fit together so well? Like, who is this? And they all whisper, and eventually word gets back to Affion. Their friends are like, oh my god, the most handsome man we've ever seen is, like, here, and nobody knows who he is. And so Affion's like, I want to see. So she goes kind of looking around, and she finally spots him, and she's like, holy cow, that is the most beautiful man I've ever seen. And he comes up and immediately starts talking to her, because he's like, you are the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. And she's charmed, and she's like, do you want to walk me home? And he's like, I do. I absolutely do. So he walks her home. She brings him in to meet her parents. And within a couple minutes, he's like, hey, I want to marry your daughter. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, not going to happen. And Affion's like, why not? Like, he's handsome and he's my age. Why? And they're like,
that's why.
Yeah, we only want oldies for you. No, but they were like, he's a stranger you met an hour ago. That's why. Like, that's a weird... We shouldn't have to explain that. We don't know him. And so he starts wearing them down. She starts begging and crying. And so eventually her parents consent. They're like, you know what? Fine. You've pretty much said no to everybody else. Like, all right. So they get married and they stay with her family for 2 days. And Afion's really happy, right? But after 2 days, the skull, who is now a man, is like, hey, I'm going to take your daughter to my country to visit my parents. It's in a country far, far away. And her parents are like, no. And he's like, well, I'm her husband, so yes. And they go to Affion and they're like, you don't have to go with him. You could stay here. Please don't go with him. And Affion's like, yeah, he's my husband. I'm clearly going to go with him. So I'm going to go. And they're like, you're so disobedient. And I'm like, but isn't the point that now she's married, she's obedient to her husband? Like, you can't have it both ways, guys.
Yeah.
It's just, I get really bothered that they keep calling her disobedient. So they leave. And immediately upon leaving, her parents do feel really weird. So they go to their juju man, and the juju man casts lots and discovers that Affion's new husband is actually from the spirit land. And he's like, hi, I'm so sorry. She's going to be dead soon. There's no way that she's going to survive. So your daughter's dead. And so now they are mourning. They're in extreme grief. They end up, I'm assuming, having like a ceremony for her because they believe that she has already been killed, right? They're like, oh, our poor dead daughter. We told her not to be disobedient.
So she was going to die because he was taking her to his home of the spirit world?
Yeah, and also because he obviously is a skull and a dead creature.
Okay, so who says that a skull can't be a nice guy?
I know.
Lots of weird biases about skulls that want to marry you.
Yeah,
sometimes he's just a nice guy. Can't judge based on appearances.
You can't and you shouldn't. You're right. Turns out they're the ones who are vain and disobedient. So Affion and her husband, the skull, walk for days and days until they make it to the border of the spirit land and the human world. And I imagine they go through that one weird customs that they do in Coco where they're doing border control and they have to pass through. Mm-hmm. I'm imagining that scene from Coco this entire time. Good. But it's not as fun because immediately upon stepping over the border, a spirit suddenly appears to them and is like, hey, you've been gone for so long. Give me back my face. And Affion has to watch her handsome new husband peel off his face in front of her and hand it to this guy. Now he's just a grinning skull. And she's like, oh no!
Oh no!
When you said you were foreign, I thought, oh god. So she's upset. And then somebody shows up and they're like, oh yeah, here you are. Give me your arms. Give me my arms back. And he pops off each of his arms and he hands them to him. And then somebody's like, give me back my legs. And so finally he's given away all of his body parts. Now he's just a floating skull. And now time to go meet my mother. And she's like, oh god, your mother? What? And so What's
the worst part?
That's the worst part. A mother-in-law. I thought you were an orphan. So he takes her. She's terrified. She's begging to be allowed to go home. She's like, I made a mistake. Please let me go home. And he's like, no, you're married to me now. You're mine. Also, at the beginning, I forgot about this, but at the beginning, the reason why he goes down is because he heard of a beautiful young virgin. That was a specific to it. Yeah, so not great.
Okay, but This is a gross question, but, like, what's he gonna do about it? He's a skull.
Yeah, but he had a body for a while. I assume somebody also lent him a penis.
He went to this one guy in, like, a back alley and he's like, hey, man,
you got any...
I borrow your stuff.
One schlong, please.
Yeah, the guy opens up his coat and it's just a bunch of wieners.
Oh, just dangling? You got money? Okay. So he takes her to his mother, and his mother is an extremely old woman, and she can't do anything herself. Like, she's so old that she just has a hard time surviving on her own anyway. I don't know if she's dead or not. I assume she is. She's in the spirit land.
Yeah.
But she can't do anything. And so Afyang is, like, stuck in the spirit land, and he leaves her alone with this old lady, and so immediately she's like, well, I guess if you're my mom, like my mother-in-law, then I'll do my best. And so she starts to take care of this old woman, and like, because she's been raised to take care of her elders, and so she will gather firewood to make sure that this woman's never cold, and she will cook her food and feed her, and she helps her bathe, which is a big thing, you know, like she, like, you know, makes sure her hair is really clean and nice, and, you know, and then she, like, rubs her feet and tells her stories. And this old woman falls in love with her. She's like, nobody's ever treated me this well. Like, you are so sweet. And eventually the mother-in-law is like, I really hate to tell you this, but in the spirit land, everybody is a cannibal. And you're a human living in the spirit land. They've all known that you're here, and they're definitely going to murder you and eat you. Like, this is why humans don't belong here. And Afyang is like, oh, shit. And she's like, okay, I'll hide you. So she hides her for a bit, right? And then she's like, and I'm going to help you get home. Don't worry, because you've been so kind to me. I'm going to make sure that nothing bad happens to you. And so the old woman goes to work. She, and this is a weird sequence of events. First, she called a spider. She's like, spider?
It's like, ring, 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 ring. Hello, spider residence.
Spider is an excellent hairdresser, and he dresses her Afyang's hair in the latest fashion. Why? No reason.
I mean,
that's not part of this. She doesn't have to disguise herself to get out. She just calls a spider hairdresser to do her hair.
She's like, and in the meantime, makeover.
That's it. There's a makeover montage in the middle of this for no goddamn reason. She then presents Afyang with beautiful jewelry and bangles and anklets and all these other beautiful things because she's like, you've been so kind, here's a bunch of stuff to, like, make you look pretty. So now Afyang's, like, decked out and has, I assume, a beehive. One of those hair. Those big hair. I don't know why.
That's a spider's favorite hairstyle.
That's what I'm imagining. I don't know why. And so then finally it says she made a juju. And she called the winds to come and take Afyang home, right? And the first wind to pick up is a literal tornado. And it has, like, lightning going down and, like, thunder, and it's like, hey, what's up, everybody? I don't know. He's just really loud. And he's, like, knocking shit over and destroying stuff in his path, and he's like, come on in, baby! And I'm assuming, like, cows are spinning around in there and, like, whole houses.
Yeah.
And the old woman's like, no, she can do better. Get out of here. Because she's doing what the Countess did not do. She's like, no.
Women looking after women.
Yes, come on. That's all we want. She shoos him away. She's like, Afyang's not desperate, she can do better than you. And so she calls for more winds. And then the second one to answer is a really gentle breeze. And this gentle breeze comes up, and the little lady's like, we love a soft boy. Love it. Love to see it. Afyang, jump up. And she's like, thank you. And then he very nicely whisks her away. And, like, Afyang says goodbye to her mother-in-law, and they hug, and she's like, thank you for everything. And her mother-in-law's like, hey, you have to promise me you are going to be obedient to your parents from now on, that you're not going to be disobedient to them anymore, because look what happened. And Afyang's like, I promise. And she's like, okay, you promise? And she's like, I promise. And then she kisses her and they fly away. Yeah, not great. This is a short story. So, the gentle breeze takes her home, and then she's, like, deposited kind of right outside where she lives. Her parents look out the window, and they're like, oh my god, she's back, and they are so happy. And so they rush to her, they embrace her. Her father brings all of these, like, really soft animal skins, and he lays them down in front of her so that she can walk back to the house and not get her feet dirty. Like, that's, like, a big thing. Like, he literally, like, rolls out, basically, a carpet. Mm-hmm. He's like, she's home! And so, then he calls all of her girlfriends over, and he's like, hey, she's back. And they're like, really? And he's like, yeah, we're gonna have a party. And they're like, okay. And so he brings them over, and they make a bunch of food. They have a feast, and they all dance and dance and dance. And the party lasts for 8 days and 8 nights. They're just so happy that Afyang is back. And then he goes to the chief, and he's like, hey, this is what happened. My daughter was tricked into marrying this handsome guy who's a stranger from nowhere. We had no idea where he was from, but my daughter was really wooed by him, and so she was tricked, and then he took her and almost killed her. That's a problem. And the chief is like, yeah, that's a huge fucking problem. We don't know outsiders. Like, what are you doing just letting your daughter marry an outsider? And so the chief makes a law saying no foreigners are allowed to marry our women.
That doesn't feel like the moral of the story. It feels like before you get married, you should have to check for, like, seams to make sure that someone isn't just a skull wearing a human mask.
Yeah.
That seems like a better law.
You should be able to pull on their face a bit.
Yeah, when you get married, you should have to, like, pull on their nose, like, honk, honk.
But they straight up adopt a no foreigners rule. Slightly problematic. I wrote, oof, all in capital letters. So after a little bit, Afyang's father comes to her. It doesn't even seem like that much time has passed. I will say, like, the way the story is written is really quick. After a little bit, her father comes to Afyang and says, hi, my friend would like to marry you. And so I told him yes. And Afyang, who promised to not be disobedient, is like, okay, yeah, then I'll marry you. And then it says she lived with him for many years, which doesn't seem like a happily ever after, or that, like, did she live somewhere else after a couple of years? Like, what happened? But she lived with him for many years and had a bunch of children. And that's the end of the story. That she ends up married to an old man and having a bunch of children.
That doesn't seem like a good moral.
Okay, so now I would like to go from this story, which is a very famous story, and I'm sure has different versions. This is the version here, and I like so many parts of it, but we are going to talk about child marriages.
Cool.
Right now. Are you ready?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I do think that the publisher's note for this particular context does matter a lot, because they're saying, like, hey, there's a lot of things in these stories that modern people might be reading and thinking, that's a red flag. And this is one of them. We're going to talk about child marriages. So there is a UNICEF kind of PDF that I would like to link somehow.
Mm-hmm. Classic UNICEF PDF.
UNICEF PDF. There's also a song for it, which I'll let Max sing now.
UNICEF PDF.
Yeah.
It's where you go to look up stuff.
It doesn't rhyme, but you know what?
Nope, it's a slant rhyme, and I'm an artist.
To look up stuff. Okay, so this is a quote. It says, the prevalence of child marriage in West and Central Africa is 41%. It means that 4 out of 10 girls and young women, nearly 60 million women, were married before the age of 18. This was 2017, right? So it's been a couple years since then, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
It's 2022 now. The prevalence of child marriage below the age of 15 is also very high, at 14% for the region. And the most populous country in the region with these child brides is Nigeria, which is where this story comes from. It says they have the highest number of child brides. An estimated 22 million child brides live in Nigeria, which accounts for 40% of all child brides in the region. And there are disparities, because obviously not everybody is marrying off their children. It says that child marriage is over 3 times more common amongst those living in poverty and rural areas. So the poor can't afford to have their children with them. So it's easier. Yeah. And also there's traditions, there's also religions that say that this is what you have to do. And that compares to 10% of young women who are amongst the rich. We do have declines in child marriages in the continent. It differs country to country. Nigeria is not declining as quickly as some countries are. But in many countries, they decline so slow that they're actually not making much of a difference. And so there are some things that UNICEF suggests that should be taken, like some actions should be taken to help speed up the decline.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions so far?
No.
Okay. You're looking at me like sad.
No.
It's sad.
Yeah, but...
So number 1, legislative action. And I actually read a bunch of articles today when I was hopped up on caffeine and reading like 10 times faster than I usually do. But... the problem is legislative action has been taken already. They already passed, it's called the Child Rights Act in 2003. So they have federal laws that say you are not allowed to marry a child under 18. It's literally 18 is the standard. The problem is nobody's following it.
Is that specifically in Nigeria or?
I think it is in a bunch of countries. So in a bunch of countries they passed thing. I think the UN came in and they made like a big summit. So They say they need legislative actions and they need people to enforce it. So they say, UNICEF says to invest in the development and implementation of national strategies and, have plans and legislation to address this and actually enforce it. Because that's the problem, is they might have the laws, but they're not enforcing them, which is why there's no decline, basically.
Yeah.
Also, an investment in education, especially for young girls. And they say that it's proven that girls that are in secondary education have been proven it delays child marriage. So not just like they went to elementary school, like we also need to put them in college and stuff, because if they are actually getting education, that means that there's an investment towards their actual schooling in their future. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of places, like around Africa and a lot of countries, the education is free. So like, why not put more girls in there and make that a priority? Also investing in comprehensive sex education, because a huge portion of little girls who have been married off is because they got pregnant and didn't mean to. Yeah. So there's a lot of freaking things that could be done to prevent that aren't being done because nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah. This is a minor thing, but I used to work in a customer service center for a global testing organization, just a standardized test that's available around the world. And my specific job was helping people with the process of registering for this test. Mm-hmm. And in order to register, you needed an international passport, because that was the only consistent way that they could get to actually get people's names and their birth information and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And especially when we had applicants from Africa, it was a problem because it's very hard to get a hold of official documentation, especially in rural areas where most people don't, a lot of people don't have birth certificates. There's just no federal record of births and marriages and deaths. So a lot of stats and estimations from especially poorer areas in Africa is based on self-reporting and estimation. So a lot of times, even if in situations where we're trying to decrease the number of child marriages, a part of that is also being able to tell when someone is a child, which is harder than you would think. Yeah, it's not universal that people have a consistent birth record. And I know from research that I did in high school that that's also the case in rural areas in China, is that registration for children and stuff like that is really difficult. So it's hard to tell when someone is of age, and also when they're looking into international opportunities, it restricts what you can do if you don't have a federally recognized identity, which is a messed up part of living in the future, that's something that you have to have, but it is something that you have to have. So
in order to keep track.
Yeah.
My grandmother was technically on the certificate married at 18, but my grandfather, who was an American soldier, took her away from her home, basically. Her parents were like, absolutely not. She's not marrying you. Because she was also very young. And they lied about her age, we're pretty sure. They took her away from her family, and he had another soldier being the witness. And even the priest was like, hey, how old are you? And she was 18, because that's what he told her to say. And he was like, yeah, you look 14, but still married them. Yeah. And so we actually don't know exactly how old she was. But a weird thing. She was also very tiny. Another big problem is that there's overpopulation. Just the population keeps growing and growing and growing, and the bigger the population is, obviously the more child marriages we're going to see. It's also not just girls. There are also, again, these unintended pregnancies. A lot of them are between teenagers. So we also have married off 14-year-old boys. But this is where sex education and access to birth control and healthcare is necessary and correct. So that was UNICEF. The Human Rights Watch is a online news source that I got an article from, and it's an article called Nigeria, Child Marriage Violates Girls' Rights. And so just the highlights from that is that there was the Federal Child Rights Act in 2003. It prohibited marriage below the age of 18 in many, if not all, African countries. However, there are loopholes, and there are provisions that basically conflict with the actual law. For example, parents can give consent, which is how child marriages work.
That's in the U.S. too.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
I don't know about other states, but I grew up in Virginia, and so it's in Virginia. Mm-hmm. If you are 13 or older, your parents can give consent to have you married. If you are 15, you can be emancipated from your parents and married at that point. Mm-hmm.
And they do it constantly. It happens all the time here in the U.S.
Yep. So, I had girls who I went to high school with that were married in 9th grade.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Jesus. They were barely 13, and all of them, it was because they had gotten pregnant, because they didn't have access to sex education.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also there are a bunch of gross
they're
older guys preying on children.
Yep. And so they, there were 3 girls in my high school who were married, and all 3 of them had teenage pregnancies and their parents insisted that they get married.
Oh, it's fucking gross.
Yep.
In last year, August and September of last year, 2021, the Human Rights Watch remotely interviewed 16 married girls between the ages of 14 and 19. So they went out of the way to be like, hey, we want to actually have firsthand accounts of these child marriages. They found married girls in specifically Imo and Kano, I assume in Nigeria. They found that these married girls are denied their fundamental rights for education, a safe dwelling, and freedom from violence, and often do not have access to adequate health care. Many of these child brides are horrifically abused. That's a big part of it. And they were probably also, a lot of them were also abused at home. One 14-year-old girl said that she ran away 6 times in 3 years, but family members returned her to her husband each time.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So I read a book when I was in a women's studies class in undergrad. It's called Infidel by Ayaan Hirsi Ali. And basically it's her autobiography. And it covers a bunch of topics like female genital mutilation and child marriage and all of this stuff. And so basically it's about her, she's writing about her own experiences escaping. I believe she was from Kenya and seeking asylum and going out of her way to avoid a child marriage as a very young girl. And it's well worth a read, but a really difficult read, obviously. But I'm going to put that in our notes too, because if you want to hear a firsthand account, it's a fantastic book.
Yep.
So yeah. And then the last thing I want to say is I want to highlight who we all know and love. And by we all, I mean me and Max, you might not know this. Teresa Kachindamoto. She is called the Terminator of Malawi.
Yes. Oh, God, I love her. I love her.
She's the fucking best. I have a picture here, and she's just the most beautiful, kind-faced woman I've ever seen. So basically, she became chief in 2003. And in 3 years, she broke up 850 child marriages and banned the sexual initiations of young girls. So basically, she was like, hey, are you married to a child? That's fucking over.
No,
They're not
not
married to you anymore. And they're moving out of your goddamn house. She was like, no. She personally was checking up on girls too. Teresa also, and this isn't said nearly as much, she saved nearly 3,500 child brides as young as 9 years old from the unseen dangers of child marriage. So they said in a 2012 UN survey, they found that more than half of Malawi's girls were married before the age of 18. Half of all the girls, more than that. It was 8th out of 20 countries thought to have the highest child marriage rates, meaning Malawi had more than half and they were only 8th in the line.
Jesus.
Yeah, so then she came in, and this is a quote from her. Teresa said, I told them, whether you like it or not, I want these marriages terminated. So even if the children were like, hey, I'm actually okay being here, she's like, yeah, I don't care.
No.
You're not marrying this adult. Done. Yeah. And you can find some more information on her. I mean, if you type in her name, but I got this from a Medium article that was written in October 2021. And there's also an Al Jazeera article by Hannah McNeish called Malawi's Fearsome Chief, Terminator of Marriages. And I love her. So there are people out there doing the work. There are organizations doing the work. And if you want to know more, you should definitely do that.
Yeah.
Info.
Her name again, Teresa Kachindamoto.
Kachindamoto.
Yeah.
Kachindamoto.
Yeah.
Love
Check it out.
So that's child marriages. It's definitely a topic that needs to be talked about way more. And even though it's 2022, for some reason, still doesn't seem to be even a little bit,
yeah.
There's not really a dent in it. This is the problem, is they talk about there's a decline in child marriages, but the more the population grows, the less that decline means anything.
Yeah. And I think that there needs to be more accountability in terms of, making sure that the husbands in these child marriages aren't skulls.
You know what? The big problem are these skulls coming down from the spirit land.
Go back to the spirit world and
you know what? Just
marry a nice spirit lady. Stop harassing women.
Everybody out there, okay, I don't think this is said enough. Don't marry a foreigner. No. That's a joke.
Oh, God.
Sorry. And that was sort of the story. Please don't come for me. Anyway,
yeah.
That was
next week, only nice stories.
And next week, we're only going to tell stories that make you feel warm and fuzzy. This is episode 18.
Episode 18.
Yeah. Meaning,
that's so close to 20.
On episode 20, do you want to do another fun theme night?
Yeah.
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 We could do more fun fairy tales. Which
Sure.
is what we have been doing.
This whole time.
More famous fairy tales. We could do our mythology night, which we
Ooh.
said. It's a fun one. We could do only ghost stories. We could do a bunch of stuff.
We're gonna do some stuff.
Guys, go on Instagram and let us know what stuff you want us to do.
Yeah, tell us stuff.
Tell us some stuff.
We told you stuff, now it's your turn.
We've been over here fucking working for nothing. It's time for you to step up. Guys, have a great week.
Bye. Hey, somebody send us money.
Hey, if you have money, what are you doing with it, you selfish fuck?
Hey, Steven?
Steven.
You know in emergency situations where you're supposed to point out one person and be like, you, go call an ambulance.
And you think it's a guy named Steven.
I think that inevitably our funding will come from a man named Steven. So, hey, if your name is Steven, it's on you now.
Give us money.
Yeah.
Did you would use the word Stephen as your random hypothetical name? Remember the Bible book of Stephen?
Praise be to Steven.
Oh, praise be. I'm just
Funding.
saying, like, he's got a lot of responsibility in your world.
Nike, Coca-Cola.
Oh, no.